Hello everyone, it's Indra Bartona and welcome to the Positivity Vibe Tribe space. Today we are talking with our guest, Clint Murphy, and it's all about abundance mindset. Okay, so let's just get set up here. Welcome to everybody here. Wonderful to see you all in the space getting set up. Okay, great to see everybody. We have a guest first, so we're going to invite people up to speak after our interview. So, Satish, just hang in there for a little while and we will come back to you very soon. So, hang in there, just waiting for our guest and getting things set up at the moment. So, I'm just going to load up the nest with some goodies, some posts. Let's see. Let's get our show on abundance mindset up there, and of course the Positivity Vibe Tribe community, and also very importantly to have our sponsors up there. Thank you so much, and also our partners Bunsen and Beaker. They are having a space tomorrow night. So all that good stuff is up in the nest. Okay, and here we have our guest. Let's get him organized. And okay. Hello, Clint. How are you?
I am doing well. How can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Perfect.
Great, awesome. Arnaldo is here. Hey, Kiki is here. Lance and Karen are here. Wow, so many people are here. Oh, I just see Donna, Vito, Legion. Oh, wow. Love seeing all you people. Richard is here. And wow, everybody is here. Oz is here. So we have the chat. We have our other co-host. Stephen has arrived in the building. Just getting you situated. I have just loaded up the nest, everybody, so take a look up there in the meantime while we're getting set up. Hey, Richard, I see you there. Welcome, welcome. And Ms. Parker, welcome to the space. We have the chat that's live. Okay, we already have Vito and Lance and Karen are already in the chat. Love it so much. So I'm just going to write a welcome to everyone in the chat. Okay, and there we go. And yes, love it when you guys get active in the chat already. Hey, Charity is here. Welcome. Great to see you. And NMS. Okay, new faces. Love that too so much. All right. Let's see what's happening here. Stephen looks like he's having technical difficulties. I already sent you the powers that be. Let's see what happens. Okay. Clint, how are you doing this evening?
Very well. I think I'm about to set up my Dr. Ho to get some acupuncture type action on the feet, so that will be good during the day.
Oh, wow, that sounds nice. Sounds relaxing. Some acupuncture. Very cool. All right. I'm just wrestling with some technical difficulties here. Let's see what happens. Oh, wow. Everybody is jumping in the chat. Love it. Love it so much. All right. Thank you, Legion, for your comment in the chat. Okay. Well, everybody, welcome to the Positivity Vibe Tribe. Our guest this evening is Clint Murphy. Twitter handle, I am Clint Murphy. and we're talking about part 2 of abundance mindset. So really looking forward to this chat and just getting a little bit deeper than what we went last time. So super excited about that. Okay, so now would be a great time, everybody, to tweet out the space and share out the space so that we can invite more people. And Stephen, I've tried to get you activated here. You might have to leave and come back. Let's see, I just sent one more attempt over. Let's see what happens here. If you can't get in, yeah, maybe leave and come back. And then the other co-host has just arrived. All right, awesome. Okay, here we go. Let's get Revolution McInnes up here, lock and loaded. Wow, Clint. We're having an evening of technical issues. But not to worry, the best is yet to come. Yeah, so everybody, if you'd like to tweet out the space, we're going to choose somebody a little bit later, and I'm going to highlight your profile and read it out. And it's just really just a small thank you for tweeting out the space and just acknowledging you in the space. So we just try to, rotate it every week and pick somebody new. So really appreciate you sharing out this space because you never know who needs to hear. Hey, Rev, how are you this evening?
Hey, Indra, I am doing better. My voice, believe it or not, is getting a little better, and I'm well rested / exhausted from a trip to the country up in the great state of Wisconsin over the weekend. So my first getaway in a long time. So I'm feeling very countrified, refreshed, but back in the big city because I got to be in the big city.
That's right. Well, so good to have you back. And so happy that you have your voice back this week. So that's important if we're going to have guests here. Okay.
Yes, I know. I'm pretty good at talking, I hear.
Yes, I hear that too. So I'm glad that you finally got activated on here. I'm still playing around with getting Stephen up here. No idea what's happening today, but we are having some technical difficulties. Let's see what.
Well, Steven's, those hair metal bands that he's in, it's there's always great demand of his bandwidth.
It must be. It must be.
Def Leppard and all.
Oh, yeah.
Great to see you, Clint, by the way, out there in the other beautiful parts of the Midwest.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, we have beautiful weather. A nice walk with the dog today in nature. It's wonderful right now.
Yeah, I was officially out in rural America this weekend, and it was definitely, we had this out at this beautiful little lake and just relaxing. It was really, really nice. And the air out there, they must have special filters. It's very fresh.
Okay, we have Stephen up as a speaker, not as a co-host. Not sure what's going on, but that's the best I can do. So same thing. So Rev, it's on you, on your shoulders. All good then.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
I think we will be too.
We'll fly straight into it. Yep.
Okay. All right. So let's make a start then, everybody. Let's have a quick look up in the nest being the dots above Rev and Stephen's head. We have, first of all, let's go to the far right. And also, Clint, please share up in the space any tweets that you would like to share up in the space. You are so welcome to do that as always. I don't have to tell you that. You know that. So when you're ready, if you have something, share it up in the space while I'm doing a little commercial break here. Okay, so first of all, on the far right, we have the show Abundance Mindset, which is my YouTube show. That's 10 minutes and under. So do check that out, everybody. If you like my take on abundance mindset, love for you guys to check it out. And then next is join the Positivity Vibe Tribe community. It is the link to the community space where we are growing such a wonderful community. And I see many of you here are already members of the community. And if you're not, do click up the link, or you can send me a DM and I'd be happy to send you a private invite. And then next after that, it's the information for our sponsors, Wordsmith Pakistan, who sponsor this space. So thank you so much to them. And if you want any help with your content creation, they can certainly assist you. All right. And then the last thing that we have up there is our partners, Bunsen and Beaker. They have a great space tomorrow evening. So do check that out if you're around. It is the, I believe it's a science chat tomorrow night. So that is 7 p.m. Mountain Time, 9 p.m. Eastern. So that will be loads of fun, and I always go along to that.
And I'm going to throw in for them because I love Jason so much. He's got his little text from Bunsen little ebook coming out. Little, it's big actually. So check that out on their website too. I just threw my name up on the waiting list, and hopefully I will.
Rev, we have some really weird sounds coming from you. Wow, that's crazy. I've never heard that before. I don't know what happened. Technical difficulties. This is the evening for it. Hang in there, everyone, for unpredictable evening, but it's going to be fun. Okay, so Rev, let's do another run. How's your sound going?
I don't know. I
think there we go.
A Twitter thing.
Yeah, because my mic keeps muting. All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, so I just got an email from Twitter that when Gavin Keeson won the Bocuse d'Or in 2015 in January, I tweeted about it, and 3 minutes ago I got an email approving that tweet for Twitter ads from 2015. I just got a tweet approved for promotion.
Okay, there are some crazy things going on in the Twitterverse, everybody. Hang on for the ride of your life in this space. That's all I can say.
Clint is going to fix it, though.
Damn it. Who is swearing on here?
Okay, we're going to have a great space, everybody, regardless of the craziness that could possibly happen at any moment. So let's make it an official start, and welcome to everybody in the space. And if you haven't had a chance to tweet it out, please share it with other people because it's going to be some great content in this space. All right. So hello, everyone, and welcome to the Positivity Vibe Tribe. I'm Indra Bartona, a producer in the film and television industry and a TV host and the founder of the Positivity Vibe Tribe. Originally, I'm from the Gold Coast, Australia, lived in London for several years, and now based in Los Angeles. A little bit of background on Positivity Vibe Tribe. I started my YouTube channel in June last year with a positive vibe theme. And Positivity Vibe Tribe Twitter Spaces just became a natural evolution to bridge the gap between all social media platforms. So tonight I am joined by my co-hosts, social audio guru Rev McLive and Stephen J. Caggiano, who is currently designing our NFTs. Plus, he is a marketing extraordinaire behind the scenes. So thank you so much, guys.
Indra.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, now my voice has decided to go a little wacky, but my 100s are gone, okay? So this is just weird because the new 100s, we all got them. So we all just need to kind of focus our energy right now over to Twitter Central over there and get it all together because Steven's getting messages from the past I'm getting hundreds from the future that are now gone. So the Vibe Tribe is going to lift Twitter up and make it better than Facebook. So invest now. Grab your stock.
Okay. All right. Hang in there, everyone. Yes. And look, thank you so much. I'm just, before we start this official interview, it is blowing up in the chat. Thank you so much for getting in there, everybody. I'm really, really excited. And I'm definitely going to go in. If I haven't responded or liked your comment down there, I will definitely get to it after the space. And I see that our co-host and our guest speaker today is already in there. So today, Abundance Mindset Part 2 with Clint Murphy. A very quick bio. Clint is a husband and father of 2 young boys. By day, he's a chief financial officer, and in the evenings, he reads, invests, writes a fantasy novel series, and hosts the Pursuit of Learning podcast. Clint has recently been interviewed on the Positivity Vibe Tribe YouTube show, so everybody stay tuned because that will be coming up. So without further ado, official welcome, Clint, to the Positivity Vibe Tribe space.
Excellent. Glad for you to have me on the show, or for me to be here, probably the right phrasing to use. And we went pretty deep last time. So where do we want to dive into abundance tonight?
Well, first of all, I'd like you to do a quick overview of your Twitter account and the focus of your content, just for some people that weren't here last time. I think it's always good that they just get a little revise. So let's do that first, and then we can hop on to the questions.
Sure, you bet. Let's do that. So the Twitter account, Instagram account, the podcast, it's all built around the concept of growth, and the podcast will be renamed in the new year to The Growth Guide. A newsletter of the same name will be coming out. Feel free to subscribe. I've got that little button thingy on my Twitter profile now. That's coming. And it's all based on the concept that I want to help people grow personally, professionally, and financially. I think if we all win, we're all better for it, which is really the topic we're talking about today with abundance. So the idea that I can take what I've learned over the last 20 plus years, well, I guess we could say 30, 40 plus years, and help other people achieve personal, professional, financial growth. The things that I like to talk about tend to be money, mindset, and mental models. Those tend to be the areas I focus in on. I usually have one conversation per week. I release 3 per month on the podcast, and those are conversations with authors. And so the authors are usually in the areas of self-help, and whether that's related to your career, personal growth, or it's financial. So I talk to authors, have a conversation, read their book, have a conversation with them on the podcast, and then write threads about it for the audience. In the future, the goal will be to be able to scale that up to 2 conversations per week, which will allow me to write 2 threads and share that with all of you when we get large enough and I can stop doing my day job. That will be the goal. And my wife will be, this is exciting for me, she's retiring as of October 12th and will start working with me full-time on the Growth Guide and building out the podcast, the newsletter, and the social media. And then eventually there will be some courses and cohorts and things of that nature. So the plan has been created, Indra, and it's all growing nice and slowly until it goes fast, which is generally how it always works.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for giving us a quick summary of everything on your social media and with your podcast, so we're all up to speed. So I did want to now jump into the questions. How does abundance mindset approach, like how do you approach it and apply it to your day? And specifically, does this support, like abundance mindset, does it support your personal and your professional life? And maybe give us some examples of that.
Yeah, for me, abundance is really the driver of everything I do. And it ties, if you will, to, I think it's Gary Vaynerchuk who has this saying, jab, 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 hook. And when you take that to Twitter or you take that into online creation, the idea really is that you just give, 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 and then at some point there may be a get. And it's taking the approach that if I share everything that I know and I help other people grow and be better for it, that ultimately I'll grow on social media and there will be opportunities to monetize and to build out a business off of giving away information for free. And so that's really an abundant mindset approach, in that I think everybody wins in that situation. So looking for situations where everyone can win. When I take it to my career, I would say what I always tell people to do and what I've always done is to hire your replacement, to look for people on your team who can be as good as you, who can be better than you, and to train them up, to train them to become your replacement. Because unless you do that, you don't have the opportunity to grow and take on more and take that next step. And so I think most or many people take an approach of scarcity where they think, but if that person becomes good enough, they'll take my job and I'll have no job. And when someone has that type of mindset, Indra, they never move past that job. I would rather have the mindset to say, hey, if I hired Catherine and she's as good as me or better, and I train her and I invest in her and she takes over for me, I'll be growing, I'll be becoming better. I can take the next role. I can take a bigger role. And as long as I grow a team who can support me and values me and believes in me the way I believe in them, then I can just keep taking on bigger and bigger roles in my career. And so that's where it's helped me in my career. And I think the reason that I've grown on social media tends to be because I approach social media from a very abundant mindset of sharing with people, giving to people, helping other accounts grow, sharing their content, and then they have the mindset to say, well, I'll share your content because you've invested in me, I'll invest in you. And so there's very few spots in my life where I think an abundance mindset could hold you back. And maybe there are, but I'd rather approach life from a very abundant perspective and get the results from it than approach anything from a scarcity mindset. And hey, maybe once in a while that scarcity mindset's right. If you approach it too abundantly, then you'll get burned. But I'd rather get burned once or twice and live from a place where I just assume the best in people and give accordingly.
That's an amazing, just in general, mindset to have, to be able to be generous and to be wanting to help people. And I know that even when we had a chat last time about the origins of your account, when you said, you know, it was very humble beginnings and everything, it was all inspired to help others. And so you just keep carrying that forward, which is really inspiring, Clint, on so many different levels. It's just amazing. And it also sounds rewarding for you as well. Just hearing you speak about it, you know, I hear it in your voice that is rewarding for you to be giving to others.
Oh, absolutely. I think when you find, and we've talked on the show about the Japanese concept of ikigai, which is the intersection of what do I love, what am I good at, what does the world need, and what will people pay me for? And I think when you find your ikigai and you live it, it's so hard not to be happy because it feels like you're blessed the entire time. And so, as an example, I've realized one of the things I love and I'm now passionate about is talking to people about how to grow on social media and how they can achieve more because if they grow, then that fits my goal of helping people grow. And when they're growing on social media, they're having avenues to monetize that they didn't have so they can grow financially. But uh, just having the ability to talk to someone about it and help them with it. I mean, I could do that for hours and hours and hours, and it would just be an absolute blast and pleasure. And then to also learn from them, find those accounts that are bigger than you and say, hey, how did you get there? What did you do? How did you change your game? Because what you realize is there's a different game at every level. So what gets you from 0 to 10, what gets you from 10 to 50, from 50 to 100, from 100 plus, it just keeps shifting and evolving. And so learning how everyone's doing it and then sharing that with other people. I mean, I use we because my wife supports me in building this. So we'll often create guides and free resources that we can put on ClickUp and then people go and they're able to access those and learn how to grow or learn how to do different things. And so I'm going to be putting together more and more of those and sharing them through my account. And that's what the newsletter will do. And there's just there's such a pleasure in having someone say, hey, you helped me grow. Like I read this thread and then I did X, Y, or Z. And it is super rewarding to have those results from your work. For sure, 100%. I agree with what you're saying.
So you just touched on something, Clint. Did you want to talk about your newsletter that you're planning to share and the goals of that?
Yeah, the goals of that will be, it's very similar to what I write on Twitter and what I share on the podcast. And the idea is that just once a week, drop an email, Thursday, 3 things: money, mindset, and mental models. And the way I'm trying to think about it, and it's I'm gonna wait till my wife is retired and we're going through a website launch and a rebrand of the podcast. So I know I don't want to overwhelm myself, and I just signed up to be a head coach for my son's hockey team, so that's got me a little nervous now too. The making sure that I have the time and the capacity to deliver something to people that adds value to their lives. And there's 3 to 4 newsletters that I read very regularly, and I want to be able to deliver on that same level of content and value. So the idea being, as an example, how can you write about one thing each week that spans money, mindset, and mental models? So if it's a concept for money and then it has an ancillary tie-in to a mental model or a framework, and so you can share that with people. Like you can talk about compounding from a financial perspective. You can talk about exponential versus linear thinking, and you can talk about thinking in decades instead of days. And so you can take that one concept and say, hey, how does compounding touch money, mindset, and mental models? So I want to be able to do that on a weekly basis and share little nuggets, not too deep, not too long of a read, short enough that you can get through it quick, but you can leave it saying, hey, I'm better for having read this than I was before I read it. That's the idea, Indra.
Thanks so much. I'm sure we'll all be looking forward to the newsletter and to the website launch. That sounds really exciting. Okay, so Clint, what do you think are the benefits of understanding the idea of how the abundance mindset concept works?
I think the main benefit that you experience when you think from an abundant mindset I'll say a few things. One of them is your life is just better. Because when you think abundantly, you're thinking the best generally of people. And you're coming at life from a bit more of an open trust perspective, I would say, Indra. I think people that aren't approaching life abundantly and will call that from a place of scarcity, they generally assume there has to be losers, other people are out to get them, they can't extend trust until it's earned. So you're really coming at a place where you're not giving the benefit of the doubt. And in return, that often means you're not getting it. And so you're coming at a place where you're always apprehensive, you're on the defensive, you're trying to protect yourself. And that just feels draining to me. That feels as if you're always tired and you're always playing defense. Whereas if you come at it from an abundance perspective, you're not really thinking someone else has to lose for me to win, or someone's out to get me or screw me, or I need to be on the defensive at all times. You're trusting people openly. You're investing in people without a fear of what'll I get back. You're just assuming, hey, if I invest enough in people, I will get something back. And the more you do that, the simpler your life is, because you're never having to play defense. You just approach life assuming, hey, the person I'm dealing with is an honorable person, and if I do the right thing by them, they'll do the right thing by me. And of course, there are probably areas in business where you do have to be, you don't want to approach abundance to the point of being naive. So walking that line to make sure you're doing right on that side of that line. But I think life becomes definitely more carefree. It becomes you have a lot more opportunities, and one of the ways I read about that was when we approach life where people have to earn our trust and we're not trusting and we're always on the defensive, it puts a bit of a ceiling on what we can achieve, because we won't have as much capacity to generate opportunity. Whereas if we always approach from a place of abundance and from a place of trust and openness, the amount of opportunities that come by our desk, just they're so much higher. And those opportunities are what will ultimately lead to us getting lucky. And really that luck is us approaching life from a place of abundance, from a place of learning, from a place of giving, and from building trusting networks of people. And those trusting networks are where our opportunities come from. And when we take advantage of those opportunities is when we get lucky. So I think that's the biggest thing that people will get when they approach life from a place of abundance. All of a sudden they'll feel as if they're way more lucky and blessed than they were. And it's simply a shift in mindset that invites that in.
That's a really great way of putting it. Really amazing. And it's very hopeful, the abundance mindset, because it means that we have so much hope for the future, hope for prosperity, hope for everything, hope for health. I know that's not an area that we discuss, but I know it's something that you invest in as well, your health and well-being. And so everything can prosper and look well.
Yeah, I think you have to look at it. And to me, there's 2 or 3 mindsets that all tend to tie together for me. I tend to notice that people who live an abundant mindset also tend to have a growth mindset over a fixed mindset. And they tend to have an optimistic mindset over a pessimistic mindset. And so you could call that hope over despair. And then that also ties into, do I believe that my life is, that life happens to me, or do I believe that life happens for me? And I think you start to see a trend. The more you can move into all of these, to me, tend to have let's call it either above the line, below the line, or a positive negative aspect. And the more you move towards the positive in one, the more you seem to move towards the positive in many. So I personally prefer to have an abundant mindset. I have a very growth oriented mindset. I like to think positively over negatively. I like to think about hope versus despair. I like to think that life happens for me and that I create my future. It doesn't just happen to me. And so the more you can, I think abundance is one of the foundations of all of that. But the more you can move to those positive frames of mind, and I wrote a thread on this about 4 months ago, and I think I might resurrect it next Tuesday now. The more you can think about those shifts from scarcity to abundance, from fix to growth, from despair to hope, from life happens to me to life happens for me, the more you can make those shifts, I think the happier you'll be, the less you'll deal with it will help with some of the mental health challenges we deal with, and the more successful you'll be in all areas of your life.
Thanks so much. Rev, did you want to chime in with any thoughts at this point?
I am here with some internet connection issues, so there's definitely some weirdness going on. And I also wanted to say too, I wanted to chime in and say, definitely Stephen is my ikigai. Oh wait, no, that's different. No, I love that. And
Okay.
no, I'm actually really excited, Clint, about the shifts that you are making personally and professionally, and that what you're doing is bearing fruit, and that you are really what I think is the place to be on these platforms, which is, I hate it when somebody's putting out an ebook full of stuff that you have to buy the ebook in order to get the real information by buying something else. Like, you're giving real value away because that's something that you value. And that's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks so much, Rev, for chiming in. Okay, so how important, Clint, is the principle of abundance mindset to us living a happy and fulfilling life?
Yeah, I think it's possibly one of the more important things that will drive that. If you know the mindset shifts we were just talking about, the more you can make those from the negative framing to the positive framing, one, the more people are going to want to spend time with you. Two, the more people will want to promote you, whether that's on social media, whether that's in the workplace, whether that's in life, the better your relationships will be. Because when you approach a relationship from a place of abundance, just try to picture those friendships you have where you never worry about whether you go for lunch with a friend and you pick up lunch and you know they'll pick it up next time, or you just split it. And life's always just simple with those friends, and it's, you both care about each other, you're both giving, you're both loving, you both support, push, challenge each other. And then you have those other friendships where they never return a call, or they never call you first, or they, never pick up the tab. And, it's always, how can you help them? After a while, those relationships get challenging to maintain. And it's not as if every time you give in a relationship, you want something back. But over the course of 1, 2, 3, 4 years, you sort of expect a friendship to be mutual. Both people are putting into the tank of friendship, in your relationship with your partner, you're 100% responsible for your portion of the relationship, but both people are responsible for making sure it's a good relationship. And if you're always nitpicking with your partner, like, what have you done lately, and what have you, that gets a little old. When you're both approaching it from a place of abundance and helping and making the relationship better, then the relationship's better. So I think in all areas of your life, you will be happier, you'll be more successful, you will achieve more if you approach it from a place of abundance. Now, when we watch TV, it always seems like they portray the wealthy people as Monty Burns from The Simpsons, which seems to be a very scarcity-oriented mindset. And I don't think my experience with wealthy people in my everyday life has been that way. They have seemed to be very abundant people on average to me, and I think that's one of the reasons they're successful.
I have to agree totally. Okay, so I'd probably like to invite everybody up if you're ready for a bit of a Q&A, Clint.
Yeah, let's do it. Q&A time.
Okay, if anybody would like to come up for Q&A and you have any questions for Clint, now would be a great time. We are inviting speakers up. Yeah, just request. I'm having real technical difficulties. I've just lost both my co-hosts. Okay, it's all good. I'm actually nervous. I'm not going to give you co-host Clint in case you fall off as well, because it seems to be the co-host feature. So we'll just get you to sit there as speaker and the co-host there.
That happened in a few others I was in recently where the co-host seat just seemed to be jinxing everybody. And they were doing okay when they were coming up as speakers, but as soon as they had hosting, it was dropping them off.
Right. Which looks like that's what's going on here. Well, actually, I think Stephen is completely stuck. Like he's just sitting in the space in a void. But thank you for hanging in there, Stephen. Okay. So we do have, that's right. Okay, so we have a couple of requests here. So we're going to start adding you as speakers. Thank you so much for coming up. And of course, everybody else, feel free to come up and request to speak. Let's go to I Am first. Go ahead with your question for our guest, Clint.
Hi.
Hi, we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm from India and I studied in a government school. For thank you for giving me the chance. And basically, I don't know how to speak in English or speak in English in a proper way. I studied in a government school and I watch too much Hollywood movies and probably I can say I learn English from Hollywood movies. Okay, so if there is any mistake with the grammar, please don't think like anything. Uh, I want to say I want to ask a question with I am came in the host with Pin Murphy. I follow him and he say like in his profile he said like I write about money, mindset and mental modes. So I want to ask it like what do you think about a person who live in a abundance mindset?
Clint, did you get that?
I'm not sure I understood what the actual question was. I think it's most of what we've been talking about
Mm-hmm.
throughout the conversation already, right? It sounded like what do I
Yes.
think about a person who's living with an abundant mindset? I
Mm-hmm.
think that's been most of what we've already been.
Yeah, so I
sharing.
am.
Is there anything specific that you're looking for, I am?
I'm looking for like what I said. Okay, from your perspective, what do you think about money?
Oh, what do I think about money as an example? I tend to, and I'm probably coming from a place of privilege when it comes to money, but I generally look at money as a tool. And so the more time I've spent in work, the more I've grown my wealth, the more I've looked at it and said, money is a tool that I can use to improve my life, improve the life of the people around me, and I know different ways that I can approach to get more money in my life, and ways that I can then use that to invest to generate even more. And so almost from an abundant, money tends to become easier to create or get the more you have of it, because the options and avenues you have to choose grow. And so I've always approached it less as a goal in and of itself, and more as a tool to live the life I want.
Okay, my next question is what about mindset? What do you think?
In what way?
In what way, for example, a person who is addicted with cigarette or smoking,
I think we're having some technical issues. We're not really hearing you very clearly. So I think we're going to move on to the next speaker, and maybe we'll try you a little bit later, I am. But I think we got your first question fully answered by Clint. So let's go to the next speaker, and we'll come back. Okay, welcome Vito to the Positivity Vibe Tribe. Love to have your question for Clint up next.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great. Salutations from Sydney, Indra. I've been tuning into your sessions for the past 6 months, but it's the first time I've actually put my hand up to engage with you. So thank you for the opportunity to do so. And Clint, thank you for your pearls of wisdom so far. It really brought me back to the days I actually worked for the Franklin Covey organization, Stephen R. Covey, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And all this talk about the abundance mindset is, it's so nice to hear that sort of language again. So my question for Clint is, in this age where a lot more people are working remotely as opposed to, doing the commute into the office, my question is, how do you continue to encourage this abundance mindset where, a lot of people are in a way wanting to hoard that knowledge or hoard that skills because they think it's a win-lose mentality as opposed to wanting to promote a win-win mentality?
That's a great question. And I just want to give a huge shout out to Franklin Covey, because 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is one of my top 3 books for sure. And when I first started learning how to achieve goals in life and completed an Ironman, from an out-of-shape couch potato to an Ironman about 14 years ago, it was back then we didn't have apps, right? We had the extensions to things, and it was the Franklin Covey Outlook extension that I used to roadmap that whole journey and plan it. So a big fan of the Franklin Covey team. I think it often comes down to the culture that you create and the people that you hire and setting out those expectations from the beginning. And so, Vito, you're probably not going to be surprised that a lot of the way I've taught my team over time has been through 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And there were times early in the company where I'm at now where the managers and leaders on my team, I bought them all a copy of that book. And over the course of a number of months, we would go through each of the habits and talk about them as a team and talk about how we could use those habits as leaders to make the people on our team better. Things that are as simple as the window in the mirror, in that whenever anything good happens, we publicly give credit to our team. And when something bad happens, the window fogs over and we take the blame. And so no one on my team will ever see me throw someone on my team under the bus. And they are very encouraged as leaders to behave the same way, that throwing a teammate or someone on our team under the bus is not appropriate. And so that's a bit of building that culture of trust, of care, of love. We invest in each other. We help each other grow. And I think when you come on a team and you come on as a student, because we've hired a lot of students over the years, and that's the type of students that we hire on my team. As a CFO, I run an accounting and finance team. We have about 30 colleagues on it. And we hire students who are looking to get their CPA designation. So they come in straight out of university, haven't had much job experience, and we train them. While we're training them, they go through their school at night to get their education requirement, and then they write their exam. And as an organization, we help them have up to 2 months of study leave, which is generally a lot higher than you would get in industry. Normally, you would have to be at a Big 4 firm to get that. But why I'm sharing that is because I think, again, that's the type of mindset that says, hey, if we invest in them, if we let them save their vacation, if we give them paid time off, it's thinking abundantly. If we were thinking from a scarcity perspective, Vito, right, we would say, well, if we give them that much time off, what are we getting out of it? And they're just going to leave us anyway, so who cares? Why invest in them? But the more we invest in those students, the more we invest in everyone on our team. If you're sick, making sure that you take the right time off. If someone in your family passes away, supporting you and being there for them. So all of those things are visible. And yes, there may be less visible when you're not in the office, but I think the ways that you can do that are when we were working from home, and now we're 100% back in the office, so it's a little different for us. But when we were working from home, making sure that we were starting off team calls with check-ins as a leadership team. Hey guys, how are you all doing? Not at work, but how's your mental health? Here's what's happening for me. Here's what's going on from an anxiety perspective. Here's what's happening from a depression perspective. Hey, yeah, by the way, I went to walk into my office in the backyard the other day and I had a bit of a mental collapse because the idea of being isolated for another 13 hours scared me. So I messaged Laura on our team and I told her I had to skip our meeting. I just needed some mental time. So being open, being vulnerable, sharing with them, and making sure that we're supporting them. So that was all happening while we were working from home. And then I think the other thing you have to do is figure out how to involve your team. So where I think we personally did a good job around COVID and how we handled it. And the more you learn, the more you know, the more you can improve. We probably could have involved more people in the conversation here's the research we've done. Here's what we're thinking. Here's what we're reading. Here's why we're making the decisions we're making. And then also sit down with all of them so that they can feel as if they've been heard. And I had a guest on the podcast, Ron Tite, and he said something that was super valuable. You want everyone to feel heard, and there's a difference between being heard and listened to. So you can hear someone, it doesn't mean you have to do what they say. So the more we could have involved the people in hearing them when we were making decisions, it doesn't mean we would have had to listen to what every single person said. And I don't mean that as in like we were just superficially listening, but more, hey, we heard everybody, we understand where you're coming from, and we took all of your thoughts into account when we made the decision, but the decisions we made wouldn't necessarily answer every single person's needs. So I think the more you can do that while you're working from home is have those conversations, have those Zoom meetings. I do personally think that it's a lot harder and that it's harder to build the culture you want when you're not all in the office. So I am a fan of being in the office, and maybe if it wasn't 100% of the time, Vito, at least a hybrid 3-2 or 2-3, so that you can have that in-person relationship to build the culture. That was a very long answer to your question. Did it hopefully answer some of what you were looking for?
Yeah, Clint, that's great. I really appreciate you taking the time to share that. That really reinforces things for me. So look, I'll leave you to it. I actually got to jump off because it's almost 11 a.m. here in Sydney, and I'm about to tune in with my team. So it's quite timely and opportune. But all the best for the rest of the session. I'll tune in again next time.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thanks so much, Vito, for joining. And there'll be the replay if you want to listen to the rest of it. And hey, nice to always meet a fellow Australian from down under. Really appreciate you dropping in. Have a great day.
Thank you, Indra. I really appreciate it. I'll leave you to it. Thank you.
Okay, so let's go to our next speaker, Charity. Charity, welcome, and love to hear your question to Clint.
Hi, Clint. Thank you so much for your wisdom. I'm actually very happy that I heard your message tonight because everything you just said describes me as a person, about not trusting anyone. I'm always thinking that there's an alternative motive. People are out to get me, and I have severe trust issues, and I am working towards, building better relationships with other people. But I was just wondering how you would retrain your brain to allow people in your life, and how do you become a better leader?
So that's one of my favorite things to focus on, is because so much of what we do and who we are is hardwired into us. So, if you are behaving from that place, it's not to a large extent a conscious choice that you've made, Charity. For a lot of us, if you think about it, a lot of the ways that we behave and the mindsets that we have are because they served us at a certain point in our life. And so when you were young, there may have been ways you were treated by family, situations that you faced that I didn't face, or some of the other people that are listening didn't face. And so what ends up happening is you develop ways to cope and to deal with life that teach you certain things. And you don't even realize that you've been taught those things. That's where the subconscious is. So for me, there's two big things. There's our subconscious mind and there's our conscious mind. So on the first one, on the subconscious, that's where we have Carl Jung, and we have until we make the unconscious conscious, you will forever be led by it, and call it fate. And so what we need to do is we need to bring the unconscious into the conscious. So we can do that a number of ways. We can do that through psychoanalysis, having a therapist. We can do shadow work. And for me personally, shadow work's been the area that I've really loved to dive into and focus on, and somewhere when I retire from my day job, something that I'm going to pursue at a professional level, because I think it's the number one way to fix a lot of the situations that most of us are in. So that's looking at shadow work and finding people local to you who practice, who you can do the work with. And really it's digging into that inner child and trying to understand, how am I hardwired and how can I correct that hardwiring? So that's one thing, is how do we correct the hardwiring? The second one is, how do we correct our thinking, our conscious thinking? And for me, where that happened was cognitive behavioral therapy. In the forefather of cognitive behavioral therapy was Stoicism. And the idea with Stoicism was that you don't accept thoughts as they are. You only accept thoughts that are logical. And so what CBT did in the book that I recommend, the second book I recommend the most, other than 7 Habits, is Feeling Good, the New Mood Therapy. And in one of the sections of that book, it talks about the idea of thought auditing. And so whenever we have a certain thought, we can write it down. And then on the other side of the page, we can write down 4 or 5 other thoughts about that, what happened, that are more logical. And then we can put it aside and we can come back and we can review both sides of the page. And what you'll find is almost always the initial thought that you have in your mind is negative, it's wrong, and it ultimately doesn't serve you. At some point in your life, that thought may have served you. It doesn't now. And in meditation, in Buddhism, they often refer to that as your monkey mind. And so the more you can train yourself to observe the monkey mind, to ignore the monkey mind, and to tame it, it will never go away, but you can tame it. And by writing it down, at some point you won't have to write it down anymore. The monkey mind will speak, and you'll be able to say, that's not real. Like, and where that comes is, you could be having a conversation with a friend, or they don't call you. And I'll give you an example. In the last few weeks, one of my closest friends, I hadn't heard from him for a couple months. And so automatically the monkey mind is firing in my head. What did you say wrong, Clint? What did you do to your friend that they're not calling you? What did you do? What did you do? What did you do? Right? And I know my friend really well. I was reasonably certain I didn't do anything, but the monkey mind was getting to me a little. And I thought, oh my gosh, this friendship I've had for 20 years, it's been great, is gone. And instead of giving into that, I just emailed my friend who works close by and said, hey, are you up for a lunch in the next couple of weeks? Haven't seen you, thought it'd be great to catch up. And we went and had lunch, and I found out that one of the people on his team had left. He was taking on a new role. The person he was taking over for was in Europe. So in essence, he was doing 3 jobs. He was going into work at 4 a.m, leaving at 6 to be with family, and was just exhausted. And he'd been doing it for 2 months. And so the story I would have told myself was that my friend hated me and I'd done something wrong, and then I would never reach out to him again. But when I was able to process that through the logical mind, I was able to say, hey, there's probably something happening for him. Why don't I reach out, have lunch, and find out what's going on? And so the more you can do that in life, what ends up happening, Charity, is you're able to convert from, this is where that life is happening to me versus life is happening for me. Shift starts to come in, because when I was able to change from a place of listening to, in essence, this crazy little monkey mind was running my life versus me running my life. And when I was able to shut that off, that is when the biggest shifts in my life and success happened. That was both career and personal investments, professional investments. So all of that side of my life started to get better. I was still failing a lot. And that's when 3 or 4 years later, when I started to do the shadow work and started to work with professionals, go to men's group, have people point out my blind spots, and dive into the shadow and the hardwiring, the combination of those two have been the greatest changes to my life in shifting my mindset that I've ever had.
Charity, did that answer your question? That was a really great explanation.
It was, and I'm very thankful to hear everything that I'm very thankful for you, Clint, tonight. You have no idea, like, all the information you gave me. I'm gonna, like, really dig deep and, do some really, like, soul searching and make some better decisions for myself, because I want people in my life, but I want the right people. So thank you for all that.
I can throw 3 books at you if you like reading. One of them is Feeling Good, The New Mood Therapy. He has written since then Feeling Great, and I always say when I haven't read that one, but great sounds better than good, so I might give that a go. The other 2 on shadow work that are very good. One of them is Bringing Your Shadow Out of the Dark by Robert Masters, and I loved his book so much that I did a men's group with him, and then I did professional training with him. And then the other is a shadow work book it's a lot lighter of a read, but it really gets to the heart of the issue. Is a book called Existential Kink, and that is a very good shadow work book. Really well done.
Thank you so much again. I really appreciate all that information. I'm definitely going to look up those books. I'll have to probably, like, re-listen to um, this space so I can get all the information that you told me again. I do have to get off here, but again, thank you so much. And Indra, the gratitude journal is coming along great. I've seen so many improvements in the last, like, 3 weeks, and I just appreciate, finding this group. I feel like it's just helping me get out of the gutter.
Thanks so much, Charity, and great to hear the gratitude journal is being helpful. So you also have a lot of support from this tribe. Check out the chat sometime when you get a moment. I know you have to rush off, but come back and swing past the chat. There's a couple of little notes in there from some lovely people here in the Positivity Vibe Tribe, just for you, Charity. So there it is. Okay, so let's go to our next speaker, Showan. And actually, before we go, Clint, I just want to check if you're okay to take the next 2 speakers time-wise.
Yeah, I'm good for probably about 30 minutes.
Perfect. Okay, sounds great. Okay, welcome, Showan, to the Positivity Vibe Tribe. And what is your question for our guest, Clint, today?
Yeah, thank you for letting me step in to speak. I'm going to try to word this as best I can. Clint, I see that on social media, at least Twitter, you give some gems that can change people's lives for a greater good in a significant way. Almost like you're a teacher giving someone the answer guide. Even though there's work involved, you're just like, here's the answer sheet, go try it. And these answers that you give people have like a huge monetary value and a priceless value as well. And a lot of people, for what you give for free, a lot of people charge this entry fee into this world that you're giving away. That barrier to entry, that makes people give up. My question is, when did it hit you yourself that sacrificing what could be maybe a nice monetary gain for yourself to help others almost basically for free would still benefit you in the end?
I really appreciate you saying that. Thank you. And I think it's a bit at the heart of what I do. And it's a few things. One, I think a lot of people play a short-term game, and I like to focus on the long term and surround myself with long-term other people who think long-term and play long-term games. So I'm not, I can make a little bit more money now, and yeah, sure, it'd be great. Like for the first year that I was on social media, I didn't even ever affiliate sell anything. Even things that I was using regularly that I would recommend to people and they'd sign up, I wouldn't take an affiliate link because I didn't want the person thinking I was recommending that for a financial motive. And at some point I said, well, that actually is kind of silly, because if I've recommended it to 50 people and they've benefited and you can make $20 each, well, hey, that's some money that you can use to buy some extra cheeseburgers or something. But the money I could make doing what I'm doing now won't significantly impact my life. And so I recognize right away that there's definitely a level of privilege there. I'm in a spot financially where I've managed to be very successful in my career, and I probably earn in the 1% category, and I've managed to get my net worth to the same spot through some lucky, good investments that I was lucky to make at the times that I made them. And so because of that, the short-term money isn't needed. And that allows me to play a longer-term game. Because at some point, everything that I do now will be what I do for a living. And that's the whole goal of it, is I want to build up a big enough audience. I want to share enough information and give enough value that when I say, hey, there is a paid product, and everything I've given for free, whatever the paid product is, will be 10x better. And here's how we're gonna do it. Like, my understanding from some of the people who have high ticket offers is 90% of what you're giving, you give away. And it's that 10% that someone's going to pay the money for. The other thing you also realize is one of the downsides of giving it all away for free. And you hear this a lot in, as an example, men's group, is if those groups are free and people come every week, they get less value out of it than if they pay. Because when people don't pay, they have a perception of no value. So I can write threads that are a playbook for people to succeed. Like, if people read my Twitter growth guides that I give them, like, everything's in there for them to get 10,000 followers. And I've had people in the DMs reach out to me and they're like, hey, like, thanks for that guide. What do you think about this? And they go on to ask me 3 questions that are right in the free guide. So it's because you've given it to them for free, they may not even read it. They probably won't act on it. But if a friend of mine has similar content and they charge $29.99 and that person pays $30 to read that guide, they're more likely going to act on it because they paid money for it. So it's a really odd psychological twist that when you give people something for free, they actually don't value it and they won't act on it. So I personally think it's good that I share that for free. And my goal is not monetizing now. It's not monetizing a year from now. It's a longer term play when I retire. So I'm very comfortable building the engine, building the system, building the community and the audience, and then monetizing down the road. And one of the benefits you start to understand, and this comes from the book Content Inc. by Joe Pulizzi. I had him on my podcast, and the conversation with Joe was one of the most life-changing conversations I've ever had, because what Joe talks about is, and this is about becoming a content entrepreneur, which is my long-term goal. And Joe says the traditional model, people tried to sell too early, create product, attempt to market it, try to sell it. And the way the world works now, or should, if you want to be successful at as low a cost as possible, is you build the audience first. The audience tells you what they want you to sell them, and then you sell it. And when you sell it, you don't even often have the product created yet. So you'll see a lot of content producers, whether it's Sawhill, whether it's other people, they'll say, hey, I'm thinking about launching a product about this or this. What do you think? Would you sign up? And they're testing their audience. And sometimes they'll put up a sign up page and see how many people will sign up for that product or that course or that cohort or that community. And so they're putting out the sign up page and the landing page, and they haven't even built the product behind it yet. And then when they get the audience to say, that is what I want, they build it and sell it. So that's a very long answer to why am I willing to give so much away for free now? It really is about an abundant mindset and a long-term approach. The longer your horizon can be, the better off you're going to be in how you view things. And step one is getting your money situation, your financial situation in the position where you can take care of your day-to-day life. You know, the rent's paid, the food's paid, everyone's health is taken care of. Get that out of the way as fast as you can. Build the emergency fund next. Then you're building and investing and saving. And once you get to that spot, then you can start to make decisions that are 5-year decisions, 10-year decisions, because you're not worried about the day-to-day. And we were lucky enough to hit that probably about 7 or 8 years ago. So what you're seeing from me now, this is actually a plan, a game plan in a path, in a goal that I created between 2018 and 2020. And it was, where am I going to be in 10 years? And so we're 4 or 5 years into a 10-year plan. That help with answer that question?
Yeah, thank you so much for allowing me to speak.
Thank you for your question. We might have lost Indra for a second. Wace, I think you were the next speaker. Did you want to ask a question?
Thanks so much, Clint.
No worries.
I didn't realize I was on mute, and I was actually talking until I heard you.
Sorry.
These things do happen. I was blown away by your explanation, and I really love that you gave us some of the financial tips as well, like a bit of a plan of attack. Because I actually have some friends, well, one friend in particular I'm thinking of, that I'm going to send the link of the replay because of so many gems that you've said, and you've sort of incorporated, this financial piece as well. Oh, here he is. We're getting our next speaker, who actually was next. So I love that, and I know that he's going to really benefit from this. So I'm definitely going to send it off after this space. So we're going to go to Oz, and then we're going to go to Waze, because Oz actually fell off. So Oz, happy to receive your question for Clint.
Thank you very much, Indra. Yes, actually, I don't know what happened. So usually when I get on stage and then go back to a listener, I'll just request because I'm just assuming it's a problem on my side. First off, thank you for having the space. Thank you for having me, and also Clint. Thanks a lot for all of the help and all of the valuable information that you've given. I have had the opportunity to heard you speak several times before, and also talk to you over in Discord. And I can definitely say that you're one of the most helpful people that I've met. So thank you for that. Um, all the question that I have is, I know that we really don't know, right, how the algorithm works, and talking in Twitter specifically. 100%. We kind of have an idea, but when first starting out and you were wanting to help people, like, how do you start getting your message out and trying to help more people, because in the beginning, you're tweeting or you're writing into a void. So how do you, like, what have been like the best strategies that you've used to kind of, amplify your message and get to more, and be able to help more people, through Twitter specifically, for example?
Yeah, 100%. And so that's exactly what happens when you first start on the platform, is you're writing into the void. And when I first started on the platform, it was to promote my podcast. And I would do your traditional, just take like a sound bit or the cover of the podcast and say, I had a conversation with this person about this, this, and this, throw 90 hashtags and see if it would get out there. And that didn't work, surprisingly. So what I had to do was I had to watch people that were being successful. And so one of the first groups that I found, I went into an engagement group early, and I went into a couple, and they helped get your message out because everybody was sharing everybody's stuff, but it was sort of the wrong type of community, and it wasn't being done right. And then I found the team at Masterclass 24/7. And once I joined Masterclass, it's more than just an engagement group. They had growth strategies. They have rooms on how to write threads. And I've been in there for a bit over a year now, and I'm now the moderator of that thread room. Tweets that work. My friend Curtis is the moderator of that room. And so we all joined when we were probably at about 1,000 followers. And there was a couple things that helped with. One, I tend to be a person who takes things very seriously and learns. And there was a question on competition in the chat, and I'll speak to that in a minute, but it ties to this partially because I am a super competitive person, and competition is great when it's with yourself. And so it was always, how can I be better? So not only did I read what was in each room, but I would go back months, years, and read all the feedback in the growth room for like 2 years, all the feedback in the personal branding room, and until you really saw the same things over and over and said, okay, now I know how I can grow. And then the other thing I did was I would always be commenting on people's bigger accounts and accounts that were roughly my size, and doing it in a way where the comments were super value add, to the point where the person that you were commenting on, they'd often retweet what I was saying. So that was always the goal, is to write a comment so good that someone will retweet it. The other thing that I would do is I realized the power of the engagement rooms that I was in, but I also realized that you were sharing stuff you didn't agree with because that was the rules. And why am I doing that? Why don't we build these engagement rooms ourselves? And why don't I reach out to 4 or 5 people that are my size or plus or minus 20% bigger than me? And why don't I build engagement rooms with them where we share each other's content, right? Now, there's no necessarily requirement. You're just a group of friends, in order that you're not offside odds of the terms of engagement, right? The Twitter TOE. The agreement is, hey, we've just created a room where we can have conversation with each other. And if you resonate with what I wrote, like, comment, retweet, and I'll do the same with you. And so you build that room with a group of friends. And the first room that we built, we were all around 1,000 when we started it. And that was a year ago. And now we have one person at 142, one person at 90, one person at 70, one person at 50, a couple people at in that 20 to 30 range and 10 to 20 range. And we're still together. We're still supporting each other. We're still helping each other. But the thing we did to take it beyond engagement, and this, again, it comes down to an abundance mindset, because most of these rooms I built. So bring the people in, and then I would build them to be like Masterclass, where there's a Twitter growth section, there's a thread feedback section. So if you're not good at writing thread hooks, or your tweets aren't great, drop them in this room and we'll help make them better for you. So I would often be at night watching TV with my family, and I'd be, in essence, ghostwriting a friend's hook or ghostwriting a friend's tweet to make it better. And then that friend puts it out the next morning, picks up a couple hundred followers. And what you're doing there is, A, I like doing it. It's fun. B, that's your friend, so you're supporting them. C, you're building a very loyal friendship because you've just helped them succeed. So that's one of the benefits of abundance. You're not doing it because the goal is to get that loyalty and that friendship in them to share you back. You're doing it because you believe in them, they're your friend, and it's the right thing to do. And what happens to come back to you is that you build a loyal, tight friendship. And so that room was successful. We created another. And now I'm at the point where I'm not creating these rooms with just the goal of engagement, but how do we create this room with the concept that it's not only Twitter, but it's also a mastermind. So everybody who's in the room, we want to do two things. One, we want to grow on social media. And so we've all gone past just Twitter now. We're branching out to 2 or 3 other platforms. We want to grow on the social media platforms, and we want to monetize our social media now or down the road. And so it's because when you do that, Oz, now that group of people, going back to what we're talking about here with abundance, if we can help each other grow personally and financially, those are 2 of the 3 ways, and professionally, because the general concept is if you can help someone grow personally, professionally, and financially on your team as a leader or on social media as a friend, those are relationships you'll have for life. Someone's not going to quit your team if you're helping them grow personally, professionally, and financially. Because there's very few workplaces where you can get all 3 of those things. And so if you have a leader who cares enough about you to provide those, you're going to grow. And so we do the same thing with these engagement rooms. We help each other grow personally, professionally, and financially. We talk about our lives. We talk about fatherhood. We talk about parenthood. We talk about rate, et cetera, et cetera. So giving you a very long answer, but what it's really coming down to, Oz, is it's a social media platform. We're all about building the relationships, because the more relationships and friendships you have and the tighter they are, the more you have people who are willing to share your content and to help you grow.
I love that. Thank you so much, Clint. And yes, I was actually speaking about Masterclass. That's where I've interacted with you in the thread room. So that's why I know that you're a very helpful person with an amazing abundance mindset. So thank you so much for that and the help before.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Oz. And we're at our last speaker. Thank you so much, Waze, for being so patient. We've been having all sorts of weird technical difficulties, but even though it's been an amazing space. So welcome to the abundance mindset topic, and Clint is ready for your question.
Hey, thank you so much, Indra, and shout out to everyone in the Positivity Vibe Tribe. Shout out to Steven, Rev, Bunsen, and everyone else that I've heard from before and I've seen, and all the new people that have just met me. I just want to say thank you to Clint, because Clint, you gave us some advice before in your previous space where you were telling us about how if we want to do something and fear is the only thing that stops us, all we have to do is know what we want, understand what it would take, and then day in and day out do the work. And that helped me a lot when I was studying Farsi, because if people don't know, like, I reconnected with my culture since August 15th, and I've been getting a lot of love from the Afghanistan community. So I've been trying to reconnect with my culture and learn the language. So your bit of advice helped so much to help me gain more confidence in that area. So thank you for that. And also, you already, and it's so easy to wait, Indra, honestly, because everyone's been asking such amazing questions. So I tend to forget my question sometimes because I love what other people are saying and asking from Clint. And Clint, really appreciate your well thought out, thorough answers. It's almost poetic in some ways. But to keep it really brief, my only question is specifically this. And shout out to the victim mindset that you spoke about earlier. You know, life is, if we think about life is happening for us, not to us, that changes a lot. So, my simple question is just this: you said something in a particular space before where you said the things you did in your last 12 years surpassed your first 30 years or something along those lines. Could you explain more why you felt that way, or if I misparaphrased you? Because I think as we grow older, we always want to get better. And just the fact that you said in your last 12 years you felt better than your previous 30 kind of gives me, it doesn't really kind of, it does give me hope that as we continue to age and mature, we will always do better than what we did before. Because again, we always are going to make mistakes. Sometimes we just make the wrong choice and we let the wrong thought win. But I see with you that's not happening as much as it used to. So that's my question. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean that's 100% accurate. And that happens in a number of ways, right? So the most obvious way that happens is financially, and that's just the power of compounding. If you look at the last 12 years, that's where I've created almost all of our net worth. And so the first 32 years, we weren't, the first 20 is through college, and then the first 10 to 12 years of working, my wife and I were both working really hard. We were both at big four firms for a lot of that. So, putting in that big four KPMG type hours and slogging away. But you're just starting in your career. So the money you're making financially isn't great. The amount that you have left over to invest isn't high. And so there's only so much you can do. And then you look at the period from 32 to 44, all of a sudden we're making way more money in our salary. We didn't really change our lifestyle. Of course, we had some lifestyle creep because I wasn't as into financial independence yet, or financial literacy. So there was lifestyle creep, but the amount of money we had available to invest was higher. The knowledge that I had from working in real estate was a lot higher. So we started buying multiple rental properties, and we lived in Vancouver, BC, pretty high cost of living. We've managed to, through all our rental properties, we've sort of had, for half of them, we had that doubling from 2014 to 2017. And then the other half, we had that 60% plus lift, plus the first half, I guess. So all of the properties had that crazy lift from 2020 to 2022. And so there's been lots of wins financially in terms of where our careers have gone, where our net worth has gone. Physically, I would say the last 12 years, I mean, I was athletic most of my childhood, yeah. But then you get your job and you really start focusing on your career and you let your health deteriorate, right? The Buddha quote about man chases money and gives up physical, mental, spiritual health, and then uses money to try to buy all that. So I think in the last 12 years, the physical things I've accomplished are way ahead of what I did in the first 30 years, whether that's Ironman, ultramarathon, running every day for 1.5 years. I was doing powerlifting in 2020 and got my total above 1,000, which was like a goal in high school that I couldn't do. So all physical challenges have been way higher over the last even 7-8 years. And then mentally and spiritually and emotionally, I'm in the best spot in my life. So I think when you have an abundant mindset, when you have a growth mindset and you are very focused on learning, and I write about this a fair amount of time, and I love that you shared, know what you want, understand what it takes, do the work day in and day out. And my son boiled that down for me to know what you want, have a plan, do it. So when you do that, and I mean, I see him doing it as a 14-year-old, and I'm blown away by what this kid is doing physically and where he'll be relative to what I always what I achieved in life. So I'm so excited that he does it. But when you do that and you go to bed every night and you're looking to tick the boxes of how did I grow today, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, physically, when you take that approach, you can't help but get better every year because of the compounding. And so even when you look at social media growth and you tie that, it works for physical too, is if you have the right diet, you're doing the right workouts, you might not notice it on a daily basis, but 6 months later, you look at your lifts and they're way higher than they were 6 months earlier, even if you're only adding 1 pound a week per side on the plates, right? When you look at your mental health, when you decide that you're going to meditate for 30 minutes a day, where you are from a spiritual health perspective, way higher. You go for a 10,000 or a 5K walk with your dog every day. Your relationship with your dog is so much better. And the amount of chewing of crap around the house they do is like next to nothing because they have that relationship. They've got their workout and your health is so much better for it. So they don't have to be big steps that we take in our life. But when we take small steps and we take them every single day, and I forget, I think I heard it on Tim Ferriss when one of his guests said daily-ish. And what they meant by that was almost every day. If they miss a day here or there, that's great. They try to never miss 2 days in a row because once you do that, you're done. So they attempt to do daily-ish. Like if I jump in the sauna for 45 minutes and I meditate while I'm in there, you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Physically, you're better. Mentally, you're better. Spiritually, you're better. So the more you can do those things every day, I think personally, what I will achieve in my life from 45 till 50, and so I'm giving myself a year break before I even start, but what I achieve from 45 to 50 will absolutely blow away what I achieved in the first 45 years of my life, without a doubt in my mind. And then what I achieve from 50 to 50 will make 40 to 45 look like I was playing tiddlywinks. Like it just, every year, every 5 years will be so much better than the 5 years before that. And the reason for that is mostly all about mindset. Because in all situations, I will focus on, and this goes to the question on competition, should we avoid it at all costs? And my answer is no. You should always be competitive with yourself. You should always say, how am I going to be better tomorrow than I am today? And if I do that every single day, and every single day I'm willing to share with all of you and give more value and give more information and build the audience and grow myself, read more books, have more conversations with authors, share more of it on Twitter. The more we do that on a daily basis, every year you can't help but be better than the year before. And it's exponential. It's not, and that's why I really encourage people to give up linear thinking and focus on exponential thinking, because when you do, and you put the work in to achieve it, the results are insanely good. And where I need to get better, I need to start focusing in on my physical health again, because I've neglected that, in order to be able to do all the things I'm doing, what I tend to sacrifice is my physical health. And so I want to make the choice to prioritize that again. So one of the things I'm going to do is give up social media on Sundays. And then with my wife leaving work, we'll focus in on, okay, how do we then build a program together to have better health for me and her and the family, whether it's physical but also mental. And so getting a little bit more of that downtime. And then also obviously 80% of physical health comes down to what we eat. So how do she and I work together to put me on a meal plan so that I'm in better shape. So that's the Operation Less Out of Shape Clint will commence when October 12th. Back to you, Indra.
That's amazing. And I love that you shared that piece, Clint. Thank you so much also, Waste, for the great question and the great share of everything. Because I almost feel like, okay, so I did a talk this morning on balance and productivity, and I constantly feel like we're shifting different pieces of ourselves on this balancing thing, as far as, still meeting our productivity, um, things that we have to do in order to just be productive in life and just to produce whatever it is, that we're focusing on. But so you just kind of reminded me, like with the element of the fitness, there's sometimes we're focusing on certain things and we have to bring back balance where those shifts, need to be made. And that was a really good example of what I was talking about this morning.
Yeah, and that's what I've always found is there's only so much time in the day. So depending on what is on our plate, what's on our goal list, the only thing I've found that I can sacrifice has been sleep. And so I'd say that in 2022, I'm probably averaging 6 hours plus or minus 15 minutes of sleep a night. And over the last month, it's sort of dropped into that 5.5 to 5 hours, 45 minutes. And I can do that for a while, but it's starting to feel possibly too much, Indra. And so, I think Saturday night I slept for 10 hours. I just I think that's when I said, hey, I'm not posting on Sunday. So
right.
I went to bed for 10 hours and it felt so good. But
wow.
I can't, only sleep 6 hours a night or 5:45 Monday to Saturday or to Friday, and then have one big night of sleep on Saturday. That's probably not healthy. So I'll figure that out. And you're right, is how do you prioritize all of it? And I think to some extent it's how do you outsource some of it so you can focus on only what matters in the key things. And that's a big lesson to learn is how do you build your team around you to do that?
Exactly. So that's the thing. And prioritizing what is really important, which you mentioned several times in the space, Clint. Our priorities will shift depending on what's happening. So, particularly for many of us, we put a lot of time into our content creation, and it's a creative process. So, sometimes you just can't type up a thread, in 5 minutes. It takes a little bit longer than that to structure it properly. And so, I find that myself, I've got to allocate time to do that. I know in previous spaces you mentioned, you've talked about this, about planning it and having a hook and all these details. It's not an easy thing to do, to have a successful thread. So that just one example of that. Well, I actually took a thread vacation for a little while because I was just, spending too much time on them. And there are other things, in the development process of the movie that I just need to be focusing on other things. I can rework some of the other ones and repost them, but new threads they're not being developed at this stage. I am on hiatus for thread development, put it that way. But anyway, I really, really appreciate all that you shared. Everybody do follow Clint if you're not already following him. And even on Clint's profile, he has a link to his podcast, which is really interesting, where he interviews authors and he reads the entire book. And I'll say that again. He reads the entire book before the interview. So this is a rare thing that I have not come across very often, not so much. So it is really interesting and great content there for everybody to appreciate. Before I ask you to do a final wrap up, we're going to do a swing past the nest. Okay, so up on the nest, which is the dots above Clint and Wace's head, is the first thing up on the far right is the Abundance Mindset Show. Then there's the Positivity Vibe Tribe community. Please join the community. It is growing and thriving and really, really wonderful content. And then the next thing up in the nest is special thank you to our sponsors, Wordsmith Pakistan, for sponsoring this space. We appreciate all that you do in content creation, and if anybody needs a little bit of support in that area, do look them up. And then the next thing is join me in my partner space at Bunsen and Beaker, their account, tomorrow evening. They are here in the space and they are having a science chat tomorrow evening. So do click up there in the nest and join us. I'm definitely going to be there, and it's really fun talking about science. And on Saturday nights they have the pet chat. Yay! Okay, so Clint, love to hear your wrap up thoughts on this journey of abundance mindset. I know that we did cover off some other elements of abundance mindset in the first interview that you had, and now we kind of again delved in deep, and we had some wonderful questions. So love to hear some last thoughts, and especially there were quite a few questions on advice about abundance mindset. So maybe if you could also throw in a couple of like tips on maintaining this abundance mindset.
Absolutely, can do. So I think in summary, there's a lot of different mindset shifts we talked about that you can make tonight. And they tend to have, let's call them a bit of an offensive or defensive angle to them. And I've always thought the best defense is a good offense. So I like that analogy. So if you look at abundance versus scarcity, in that abundance world, do you think there's more than enough for all of us, that we can all win? There doesn't have to be a loser for there to be a winner. And so and you contrast that with scarcity, where you think there's only so many resources. I need to win in order for you to lose. And you approach everything from a defensive / distrustful nature. You then have fixed versus growth mindset. With the growth mindset, you're always thinking, how can I learn? How can I grow? How can I increase my value so that I can earn more? And the more you can focus on the positive and offensive side of these mindsets, the more you're going to live a life that actually results in abundance, success, and happiness. And so how can you increase the abundance mindset? I think little things that you can do are to journal every day what you're grateful for. Ask yourself, what is something I did today that was an act of kindness for somebody? When you're in a situation where you're in a negotiation, look for, how can I find a solution so that everybody in the negotiation wins? And so and how do you approach your daily life and relationships where you're searching for ways for other people to win and to succeed, because you recognize that it's not going to be at the expense of you. So those are some of the little things that I think you can do, Indra. Whether you're meditating, whether you're journaling, whether you're doing thought auditing, and you're always looking at, how do I approach this from a place of trust, from a place of abundance, from a place of wanting everyone who's in my life and around me and surrounds me, I want them all to win. Those are, and Indra, I know last time I shared, and I don't have my journal in front of me, because in your video, you had 4 or 5 great ways that we can practice abundance in our daily life, if you wanted to share those with people on our way out.
One of them was actually already what you mentioned, is journaling. And I like to intuitively journal. I don't do it every day if I don't need to, but it also depends on what is happening with life. And as Clint was also talking about and mentioning, our time is really precious. And for some of us, we're not even getting enough sleep. So don't journal for the sake of, I'm just going to be journaling. But when you feel that you really need to work on something, that's the time to do it. And with gratitude, it's a great time. Like if you feel, okay, well, I really want to build, say I'm going to focus on abundance mindset and I'm going to build on that. So I am going to, like, whether it's Monday to Friday, I'm going to spend 5 minutes and gratitude journal. So that's definitely one thing. And then another thing is I find with abundance mindset also to use affirmation work. I really love affirmations because it's something that you can focus on some specific things that you want to work on. And also with my guided meditations on affirmations, I actually go to some specific areas and I focus on them. So there is like abundance mindset affirmations, there's positive mindset affirmations, there's certain affirmations to get you into a mindset. So that's what's really exciting about that. And then of course meditation covers off everything for me. And there's so many different types of meditations. Clint, I almost feel like we have to have a, a space on meditation at some point and maybe a YouTube discussion, because I know that you and I are both doing kind of similar types and different types. And I love that, that we can compare and share all of that information out to everybody else. So choose a type of meditation. If you're not really experienced, or if you are very experienced, depending on how you're feeling, a guided meditation can really help you. So I have loads of those on my channel as well. So thank you so much for pointing back to some of the resources that I have, Clint. Really appreciate that. It's been really a wonderful space having you in this space, as always, and the information, the added value that you provided, there's just no words to explain all that you give to us, particularly all of us here in the Positivity Vibe Tribe. We have a lot of members. I'm looking at you all. I can't even shout you out. I even see a couple of super followers in here. Thank you so much. And I just want to say thank you so much, Clint, for your time and all that you share in this community. It's really been a pleasure, Clint.
Thanks for having me. I love chatting with you in Positivity Vibe Tribe, and I'm going to go off to my meditation class that starts in 10 minutes. Bye, everybody.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Clint. Okay, well, it has been an incredible journey. I'm so full of gratitude for having Clint here in the space and all of you. Thank you to my co-hosts, even though there were technical issues. Thank you both to Stephen and Rev. And thank you, speakers, for all your amazing questions that you've really thought out and were thought-provoking, actually, for me as well. I'm constantly learning, and I love to hear all of these questions. Do check out the chat even after the space. We have 58 plus comments in the chat bubble. Amazing. I will be sharing that in the community as well. Thank you so much to the listeners. You guys are just amazing for creating the energy. Thank you to our partners, Bunsen and Beaker, for all that you do. Really appreciate you guys. And we will be back on Wednesday with another Positivity Vibe Tribe space. And our guest will be Erica Diamond. So that will be at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, a community space on Thursday, same time, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So to all of you, I'm sending you love, light, and blessings for an amazing rest of your evening.